Ένα από τα μεγαλύτερα περιβαλλοντικά προβλήματα της Κύπρου είναι η διαχείριση των απορριμμάτων της. Αρκεί να αναφέρουμε ότι η Κύπρος κατέχει την πανευρωπαϊκή πρωτιά στην κατακεφαλήν παραγωγή δημοτικών αποβλήτων για να καταλάβει κανείς το μέγεθος του προβλήματος διαχείρισης των ροών αποβλήτων στην Κύπρο. Απότερος στόχος της Εκστρατείας Ενημέρωσης για τη διαχείριση αποβλήτων και αντιμετώπισης των τόνων σκουπιδιών στις παράνομες χωματερές της Κύπρου είναι να καταλάβουμε όλοι ότι τα σκουπίδια δεν είναι προϊόντα που έχουν φτάσει στο τέλος της ζωής τους. Αντιθέτως, είναι φυσικοί πόροι, άρα είναι πολύτιμα και ως τέτοια πρέπει να τα διαχειριζόμαστε αν θέλουμε να προστατέψουμε το περιβάλλον. Η συζήτηση για το ποιος και το πώς πρέπει να διαχειρίζεται τα οικιακά απόβλητα στην Κύπρο φέρνει στο προσκήνιο διαχρονικές διαφωνίες μεταξύ των εμπλεκόμενων αρμοδίων αρχών. Ουσιαστικό κομμάτι αυτής της αντιπαράθεσης φαίνεται να είναι και η αναποφασιστικότητα για το ποια είναι η ιδανικότερη και λιγότερο δαπανηρή λύση. Διαλογή των αποβλήτων στην πηγή και συλλογή τους από εγκεκριμένους μεταφορείς για να οδηγηθούν στις διάφορες μονάδες ανακύκλωσης ή να συνεχίσουμε να τα πετάμε όλα μαζί σε μαύρες σακούλες που θα μεταφέρονται σε μονάδες ολοκληρωμένης διαχείρισης αποβλήτων. Η Αυστρία, το Βέλγιο, η Δανία, η Γερμανία και η Σουηδία διαθέτουν ολοκληρωμένα συστήματα αποκομιδής αποβλήτων και κατευθύνουν στους χιτά ποσοστό μικρότερο από το 5% των απορριμμάτων τους. Επιλέξαμε να διερευνήσουμε το παράδειγμα του Βελγίου από κοντά, επειδή το Βέλγιο παρουσιάζει μετά από 20 χρόνια εμπειρίας ένα από τα πιο ανεπτυγμένα συστήματα ανακύκλωσης, συνδυάζοντας νομικά, διοικητικά και οικονομικά μέσα για αποτελεσματική άσκηση των εθνικών πολιτικών διαχείρισης αποβλήτων.
It's a matter of a few years before Cyprus will reach the same, let's say, targets and the same degree of cost efficiency as we have in Belgium.
The best results you get if you have separate collection.
Discipline is a big part of this daily behavior.
Waste, it doesn't exist.
The thing that worked in Belgium to encourage the citizen to sort his waste, it really was the price.
Everything starts with collection. A good collection at the source give also a high recycling target.
We are also challenged by our customers, by our consumers, to make sure that we don't have the litter on the street, but that it's properly recycled.
We don't throw away furniture because we have other poor people who can use it. That was the initial idea.
Education for sustainable development is integrated in the school on different levels, from kindergarten and primary school and secondary school.
Nobody likes change. Even people who say they do like change.
Το Βέλγιο κάνει την καλύτερη διαλογή και διαχείριση αποβλήτων συσκευασιών σε όλη την Ευρώπη. Γι' αυτό και εμείς ταξιδέψαμε μέχρι τις Βρυξέλλες για να δούμε τι είναι αυτό που κάνουν καλά οι Βέλγοι και που θα μπορούσαμε να το κάνουμε και εμείς εξίσου καλά στην Κύπρο. Η FOS+, ο εταίρος μας στο Βέλγιο, φιλοξένησε μια ομάδα ατόμων από τους υπόλοιπους εταίρους από την Κύπρο που συμμετέχουν στην Εκστρατεία για τη Μείωση, Επαναχρησιμοποίηση και Ανακύκλωση οικιακών αποβλήτων. Εκεί περάσαμε 3 μέρες γεμάτες από ενδιαφέρουσες παρουσιάσεις και συζητήσεις γύρω από το σχετικό θέμα. Ακόμη επισκεφθήκαμε βιομηχανίες και άλλους χώρους που μας έδωσαν μια πολύ καλή ιδέα για το τι κάνει το Βέλγιο σε σχέση με τη μείωση, επαναχρησιμοποίηση και ανακύκλωση οικιακών απορριμμάτων που αποδεικνύουν γιατί αξίζει όχι μόνο η Κύπρος, αλλά ολόκληρη η Ευρώπη να ακολουθήσουμε το παράδειγμά του. Όλα όμως ξεκινούν από ένα καλό σύστημα συλλογής και διαχείρισης των ροών αποβλήτων που βγαίνουν από ένα νοικοκυριό. Εδώ τα εύσημα ανήκουν στη FOS+ ή την FOS+, όπως προφέρεται στα γαλλικά.
FOS+
Cyprus is coordinating the producer responsibility for packaging waste, for packaging and packaging waste. This means that in the name of the industry, the companies who are putting packed products on the market, to coordinate the take-back obligation and the producer responsibility for the end-of-life management of these products, namely the packaging. And this in order to reach the recycling targets that are imposed by the Belgian and the European law. First of all, I think that in Cyprus the fundaments are there in order to get better results in the future. I think they are on the right track, on the right way, because of the right fundamentals, the partnership with the local authorities, the partnership with the ministry. This is in fact what, let's say, we developed together as main, let's say, working scheme. The producer responsibility in hands of the industry, having the right legislation in place, each player its role, and then also to have close collaboration with the local authorities in order to have an optimized collection scheme. And I think effectively that it's a matter of a few years before Cyprus will reach the same targets and the same degree of cost efficiency as we have in Belgium, because the things are put in place. It's now a matter of having this executed in the right way. A lot of things that we can think about it in order to reach that degree of recycling and to have it done in a cost-efficient way is to have in place the right collection scheme, make the right choices, go for an optimized, uniform and standardized collection scheme over the whole country, have full coverage of the country, discuss with the local authorities on what should we communicate together to the citizens, how to sensitize them in order to take, let's say, the things in the right hands, to see where are the problems and then communicate on it, apply, for instance, also as a supportive and as an escorted measure, it's some kind of economic incentive, but for the residual waste, so for the non-sorted waste, making the people pay more than today in function of the volume and the weight of residual waste they produce. Because if you put in place this economic incentive, then you will see increasing your recycling results all of a sudden.
Το σύστημα διαλογής και διαχείρισης συσκευασιών της Κύπρου δεν διαφέρει και πολύ από αυτό του Βελγίου, αφού ουσιαστικά η Green Dot δημιουργήθηκε έχοντας ως πρότυπο την FOS Plus Βελγίου. Αυτό που διαφέρει όμως είναι ο τρόπος με τον οποίο οι πολίτες συμμετέχουν στο πρόγραμμα. Μήπως στην Κύπρο χρειαζόμαστε περισσότερα οικονομικά κίνητρα για να αρχίσουμε να ανακυκλώνουμε, μήπως χρειαζόμαστε την επιβολή προστίμων για να αρχίσουμε απλώς να το κάνουμε. Στο Βέλγιο χρησιμοποιούν τόσο την πολιτική του καρότου όσο και την πολιτική του μαστιγίου.
We did get at such a high level in waste management in Belgium because we started from the waste management hierarchy, which is also in the European Waste Directive. And from there on we make waste management plans for different kind of waste streams. And from the waste management plans we use the different instruments, which are, amongst others, the landfill bans, incineration bans, landfill taxes. To get a good result in waste management, it is important that you have all the actors to cooperate. You don't put on a plan from the top as a government, but you have to combine citizens, municipalities, associations of municipalities. We work in Flanders, the private waste collectors. So you have to get them all together to get good results in waste management. The best results you get if you have separate collection. You have to have good waste streams that can be recycled properly. We want people to separate waste at home, so you get the streams in the right way to get good recycling results. If you don't separate at the source, the quality of the products that you get afterwards will be much lower, because you have some pollution of the selective streams, waste streams, and there the result of the recycling process is much lower. To have a success in your waste management, it is very important that you have social support. Before you start with new rules, you have to have information campaigns so that people understand why something is being asked to do. The second thing that you should bear in mind is don't go too fast. Rome wasn't built in one day neither. We have financial penalties because the waste that is not collected separatively, you pay much more than the separate collection schemes. Besides of the separate collection, we have also the grey bag that we call, which is the rest of waste, and you pay much more for those grey bags than for the separate collection schemes. We have two different systems, or you pay by weight, or you pay by sack. And we have in our legislation a system to get the right price combined with weight. So if you have price of €0.5 per kilo, if you go by weight, we have a price of €2.5 per bag.
Μία ώρα έξω από τις Βρυξέλλες, σε μια από τις βιομηχανικές περιοχές του Βελγίου, συναντά κανείς τη μεγαλύτερη μονάδα επεξεργασίας PMD. Εδώ, σε αυτό το χώρο, μαζεύονται 100 τόνοι PMD την ημέρα για να τύχουν περαιτέρω επεξεργασίας και να αποσταλούν στο εξωτερικό.
The sorting plant we have over here is our sorting plant for PMD. I understood it's the same principle in Belgium as in Cyprus. So what we do over here, the PMD which is collected in the municipalities and in recycling centers is coming over here, and then we separate it into 9 recyclable materials. So on an annual basis we have approximately 30,000 tons of PMD which we sort out. So when you know that in a bag approximately it contains 3 kilograms of PMD, it means that we sort out approximately 10 million blue bags of PMD on an annual basis over here. For us, waste, it doesn't exist, so we try to reuse as much materials as possible. So that's what we are doing basically all the time. So we try to sort out of every fraction of waste which is being brought in. We try to get out as much recyclable materials as possible for reusage. In fact, it's very important that people sort out as much as possible on the source. For us, it's much easier to do the resorting afterwards, so we have much more reusable materials at the back end then.
Χρειάστηκαν περισσότερα από 20 χρόνια για να μπορέσουν οι Βέλγοι πολίτες να αντιμετωπίσουν την ανακύκλωση όχι ως αγκαρία, αλλά ως τρόπο ζωής.
Le tri parfait? On y est presque.
what's up more?
Με άλλα λόγια, χρειάστηκαν 2 δεκαετίες μέχρι να συνειδητοποιήσουν όλοι οι πολίτες ότι η ανακύκλωση δεν είναι θέμα ατομικής επιλογής, αλλά θέμα ευθύνης του κοινωνικού συνόλου. Πώς όμως αυτή η αλλαγή άλλαξε τις καταναλωτικές τους συνήθειες?
The consumer doesn't really change his way of consuming, his way of shopping. He's shopping the same way as before, as 20 years before, but he has to sort and to sort the waste to be recycled. It's the most important point, but it doesn't really change his way of shopping. When you have to manage waste, the first thing to do is to reduce waste and to not buy something that will make a lot of waste. It's the first point. And in Belgium we have developed a lot the second point, that is taking the waste, sorting it and recycling it, you know. If you buy something that is making less waste, it's better than taking the waste and recycling it. Recycling is very, very important, and what we did in Belgium is very important. What Phosplus and others did is very important. But the consumer has to reduce the waste he buys by changing his way of shopping. A lot of times, things that are less packaged are also cheaper. And it's best for the consumer, it's best also for the environment, and making less waste. And we are giving advices, we are showing to the consumer that it can be cheaper to buy less waste, things that with less packaging. Then it's one of the things we do. We are talking to them, we are writing articles, we are writing a lot of things to prevent waste production. The Belgian citizen it has the habit now to hear about environment issues. We are talking about environment for a lot of years now, a lot of decades. But it's really stable now. You know, with the economic crisis, environment is something in second or a third thing we will think about, you know. The thing that worked in Belgium to encourage the citizen to sort his waste, it really was the price, if you want. We start to put the garbage bags, but you have to pay a tax for them. Before that, you paid a tax yearly, but it was the same for every people. Now you have to pay as you throw. You know, you have to pay for the waste, not exactly, but for the number of bags you put on the street to be collected. And this thing made the way of doing of the consumer change, you know, and it was sometimes really tough for the consumer, because before sometimes he didn't have to pay or to pay a lot for his waste. And now he has to pay something like €1 for one bag of 60 liters, you know, and it was really huge at the time. I mean, sometimes like 10 or 15 years ago. That it was really tough, but it worked. And now the unsorted waste, then, you know, all the waste that will be burned, that it will not be recycled, all the waste will be burnt, and we really reduced this amount of waste. We are still making, if you consider all the waste we are doing, even the recycled ones, we are producing the same amount of waste from 10 years ago, and now it's the same. It's 500 kilos per people per year. But the part of the waste that is not sorted, not recycled, is really, really small now. It's about 100 and 120 kilo per people. Before it was nearly 500, you know. Yeah, this is the distinction you have to make between the waste that is collected to be recycled and the waste that is collected to be burned.
Μέρος των νομικών υποχρεώσεων των παραγωγών προϊόντων είναι η διαχείριση των συσκευασιών τους. Αυτό είναι ένα κατοχυρωμένο γεγονός που στην ουσία απαλλάσσει τους καταναλωτές από την αποκλειστική ευθύνη για τη μείωση, επαναχρησιμοποίηση και ανακύκλωση των συσκευασιών που εισέρχονται στα σπίτια τους. Και αυτό επειδή η ευθύνη για τη διαχείριση αποβλήτων συσκευασιών βαραίνει εξίσου, αν όχι περισσότερο, τις εταιρείες που σχεδιάζουν, μεταφέρουν και πωλούν τα προϊόντα τους σε καταναλωτές και μετά στη συνέχεια περιμένουν τον πολίτη και το κράτος να τα αξιοποιήσουν με τρόπο που δεν θα είναι επιβλαβή για το περιβάλλον.
One of the instruments we use in Flanders also in our waste management is the producer responsibility. In the European directives you have some waste streams that are put under producer responsibility. But in Flanders we have different other streams that we have in producer responsibility. As example, tires which are collected in a scheme with the same way as the FOS+ system.
The purpose of today is to give you some explanation about packaging, what we do around packaging, but it's good to understand where it's coming from. We are a big company and we put a lot of packaging into the market, so we are looked at. So we want to make sure that every empty bottle is being recycled. We are also challenged by our customers, by our consumers, to make sure that we don't have the litter on the street, but that it's properly recycled. So also with FOS+, it's an organization in Belgium. We closely work together to make sure that every empty bottle is being recycled. Renew, reduce, recover and recycle. We had a sustainability plan where we focus on the 4 R's on packaging, and we want our packaging to be seen as a valuable resource, so we put everything in place that our consumer recycle their packaging when they have used it or consumed it. Packaging and recycling, so we want to make sure that first our packaging is being recovered, so an empty bottle is being recycled, and then we want to have as much as recycled content in our packaging. For now we have for PET bottle, for example, 32% of our packaging contains recycled content. So we have seen that we are doing very well between our 4 walls, so everything related to production, distribution and cooling equipment. So we have done some reductions on energy, but we have also seen that we cannot only look at our 4 walls, we have to look to the whole supply chain. So there we see that 52% of our CO2 emissions comes from packaging. So this is something also we want to lead in. We want to be the leader on sustainable packaging. We have to collaborate with our partners to make sure that every packaging that we make or that is being produced, that's also 100% recyclable, but contains as much recycled content as possible. So it's also innovation, design and collaboration that's very important.
Our producer responsibility, whether it is regarding packaging or regarding other priority waste streams or priority products for which producer responsibility is existing, that it should be done in a certain way, or let's say at least following certain principles. Producer responsibility should be taken in a serious way. We need producer responsibility in an authentic way. When we talk about producer responsibility, this means that this responsibility has to be taken in hand, has to be run by the industry itself. And the industry is an important player then, becomes responsible for the end of his life, and it should be a responsibility that cannot be transferred. If this responsibility is executed by, let's say, the local authorities or by the waste operators or by investors, we got a mix of roles and we got conflict of interest, whether it is operational, whether it is financial, mainly financial very often. EXPRA stands for Extended Producer Responsibility Alliance, but why we created this organization together with main industrial players, multinational companies, in order to promote this authentic EPR, this let's say refined EPR, taking it seriously. Industry is ready to take this responsibility, and so we are, EXPRA is now 19 members. Most of them are coming from the European Union. We are also abroad Europe, because EPR is discussed all over the world today, and this is the way we think it should be promoted. And we are today as EXPRA discussing all these topics with the European Commission, with the European Parliament, with the European Council, in order to have, let's say, in the future European legislation, these definitions of EPR and these definitions of the role of all the players, to have it organized at European level and to not, in, let's say, in terms of subsidiarity, to leave it simply to the national member states. The execution can be left over to the member states, but the guiding principles for producer responsibility should be anchored in the European legislation.
Μία από τις σημαντικότερες ροές αποβλήτων είναι το γυαλί. Όχι μόνο επειδή σχετίζεται σχεδόν με κάθε κοινωνικό γεγονός, αλλά επειδή μπορεί να ανακυκλωθεί αναρρύθμιτες φορές. Το γυαλί στο Βέλγιο έχει τη δική του ιστορία ανακύκλωσης να διηγηθεί. Μια επιτυχημένη ιστορία που στην Κύπρο δεν μπορεί ακόμη να υποθεί.
Belgium has a long history in glass recycling. Everything starts with collection. A good collection at the source gives also a high recycling target. And if you talk about targets, we have a quite high recycling target, which we meet with our 97%, which is quite high for glass. And this high rate of collection combined with a good sensibilization, good training of the consumer, gives very high results. Once the glass is collected, it comes in here color sorted, mainly color sorted, because we believe the better you sort at the source, the better result you get as a product you want to create. So the glass waste comes in different kinds, flat glass separated from bottle glass, and the different colors separated from each other. And then this glass is processed in our plant from waste into a new raw material. So the product we are producing is called furnace ready colored, that can be used in any kind of production of new glass. Well, we believe in sustainability, and if you talk about sustainability, you have to be aware that you have to think about a product that is coming back again and again, and glass is a product that recycles itself again and again without the loss of any quality. So you can recycle glass thousands of times into new glass without loss of quality. And we believe that this glass or glass on itself is a perfect product to be recycled in a closed loop again and again from glass into new glass. Once it is coming into an open loop recycling, it means that it is not made back into a product that can be recycled again. We believe this is a loss of raw materials, because the sources of raw materials are getting less and less. So we really need to protect this environment and this planet by creating as much as possible the closed loop recycling. If the government or the green dot system creates the necessary environment, the necessary waste, kinds of waste that are attractive for the market, and something which is attractive for the market means a product that is recyclable quite easily by all different kinds of glass recyclers around Europe. Well, I think this is the basis you have to create. A good quality collection, sorted from color to color, and not a commingled collection, but really a single source collection, glass separately from, in bottle banks. And I think if you create this kind of waste in collection, you make it quite easy for the market, for newcomers or from other European glass recyclers to buy this product as a waste, but it can be easily then be produced into a new raw material.
Προκειμένου να σταλεί το μήνυμα της ανακύκλωσης από τον πομπό στο δέχτη, όπως κάθε μήνυμα θα δεχτεί πολλές παρεμβολές. Η κάθε εκστρατεία ενημέρωσης όμως χρειάζεται μια σωστή στρατηγική επικοινωνίας για να είναι πετυχημένη. Αυτό στο Βέλγιο το γνωρίζουν καλά.
Puisqu'on trie déjà si bien à la maison, eh bien maintenant trions aussi au travail. Et tant qu'à faire, au club de sport. Ou bien pendant les festivals. FOS Plus. Ensemble, trions bien, recyclons mieux.
Nobody likes change. Even people who say they do like change. I mean, doing something different tomorrow than you're doing it today requires more processing, requires more effort, requires thinking about things you used to do automatically, can involve guilt, can involve fear of making errors. So there is a big deal in getting people to kind of change ingrained behavior which has been learned over and over by repetition, especially when it comes to waste. I mean, we throw away things on a daily basis. In public, in our jobs, at home, and it usually means you open up a cupboard or you open up a waste disposal basket and you just throw it in. And then trying to think about which waste disposal basket of these three I need to choose requires extra processing. So in term, this behavior will become automatic in itself. But getting people to get into this mode where they're conscious about their behavior and change what they are used to do without thinking about it is a pretty tough job. People who are involved with behavioral change or public awareness on whatever theme usually get a lot of data. As it is a societal theme, it gets investigated by political parties, by public institutions. There's a lot of stuff available abroad. And when they start thinking about communicating, more often than not, you'll just get a big pile of statistics and graphs. And these people are doing this and are not doing that. And they're portraying this behavior and we want them to portray that behavior. And you can see they're doing it here and not there. And there's a data indigestion because there is more data to begin with. And two, because people tend to think about the subject at hand as being very important because it is their job. In general, advertising is not that important to people, whether it's about behavior change or whether it's about selling shampoo. I mean, you're interrupting my film, sports, whatever, what I'm doing on Facebook, and you want me to do something, to look at something. So we need to be far more single-minded about this. I mean, to define an objective and then find why aren't we achieving that objective today? What's the one issue that stops us from, or that stops people from altering their behavior, or from looking at a problem in a different way, or from donating, or whatever?
And you're suggesting that we should do that in less words?
I'm suggesting we should have that discussion up front. I think there is a culture which is more related to political institutions, but you can find it in public, basic, broad public institutions as well, where if we have provided all the data in this thick a brief, it's up to the agency or our partners to deal with it. I mean, whereas a good brief is a discussion on what's the most important problem and being very single-minded about it, and this is what we're going to tackle.
Communication is very important, but it cannot achieve everything. So you need, of course, a very good operational system with good choices in the collection scheme. And next to that, we see in Belgium that the pay-as-you-throw is a very important incentive for people to contribute and to participate in the system. So in practical, it means that people pay in relation to the amount of residual waste that they deliver, giving them an incentive to sort, because as more as they sort the packaging, as less they have to pay for residual waste. In fact, there are two parts in the communication. First of all, you need a really emotional side of it, to motivate people to change their behavior, and you can only do this by touching them in an emotional way. This we try to do on a national level with television campaigns and so on, so really above media. On the other side, you need a lot of practical information to pass to the consumers. What type of packaging to sort, when, at what days they have to put out the waste streams. And this we do on a local level together with municipalities. Yeah, on a regular basis we measure the participation of the consumers with big surveys. Of course, we have the results on the field, measuring the quantities that we collect. And we see that the quantities have grown over the years, and when we measure the participation of the consumers through surveys, we see that for now more than 90% declare that they are contributing in a very on a regular basis. Third pillar, which is now, let's say, in development, is everything which is out of home, as I already referred to. And in fact here we are not in the emotional part or in the rational part, we are a bit between, and we have no specific targets either. One of the most important instruments and tools that we use in the communication is this calendar. In fact, it shows the days on which people have to put their waste on the doorstep, and it also gives information on the sorting rules, telling what type of packaging should go in what type of bag. So this is something that every family gets in its mailbox on a yearly basis, and it hangs in the kitchen or another place, and it stays there for 1 year. So it's a very valuable information tool, which is probably the most important one. I think discipline is a big part of this daily behavior. A combination of communicating on the added value of the daily sorting for the environment, but also the pay-as-you-throw scheme would be a very good extra incentive for consumers to start sorting if they haven't so yet.
Public awareness institutions tend to take their dreams for granted, and saying that let's all sort our trash better together, period, is what you want people to do. It's not a message. I mean, if I'm a clown, and that's a simple explanation, and I jump onto a stage and I say I'm funny, nobody will laugh. If I tell a great joke, different thing.
Αν καταναλώνεις λιγότερα και επαναχρησιμοποιείς περισσότερα, τότε δεν περισσεύουν και πολλά για να ανακυκλώσεις. Αν πάλι τα κάνεις όλα αυτά μαζί, τότε στην ουσία εφαρμόζεις την τελευταία οδηγία της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης για εφαρμογή του μοντέλου της κυκλικής οικονομίας. Ένα σύστημα όπου ένα προϊόν συνεχίζει να ανταλλάσσεται οικονομικά τη στιγμή που κάποιος εγκαταλείπει κάτι παλιό και άχρηστο για να το αγοράσει την επόμενη στιγμή κάποιος άλλος που το θεωρεί τον καινούριο του θησαυρό. Παρόλο που μοιάζει να βρισκόμαστε σε μία αντικαιρή, εδώ στο Βέλγιο ο όρος επαναχρησιμοποίηση έχει πάρει διαφορετικές διαστάσεις.
Actually, now you are in the Kringwinkel in Aalst, and we have about 3 shops, and this is one of them. In this shop, as you will see, we only sell furniture and small stuff for the household and toys. And then we also have another shop where we sell as well textile and clothing. Actually, the idea is that people bring here furniture or things that they don't use anymore, but they need to be in an excellent or in a very good condition. And the idea is then that we sell it again, so it's here in the shop available for other people to buy it. course it was something that grew over the years. It took more than 20 years, where initially we started with only about 2 or 3 volunteers and a very small truck. Now we are working here with 90 people. We have 3 big trucks, so it has grown over 20 years. And also the idea is different now. About 20 years ago it was just the idea we don't throw away furniture because we have other poor people who can use it. That was the initial idea. But over the years it turned, and environment and waste reduction became more and more important. So we can say that now the main idea behind our center is really to prevent stuff from being thrown away, and waste prevention. That is actually now the main idea. Actually, this is the type of bicycle that we received from a customer who didn't need it anymore. And so, as you can tell here, it's being put together in order before it's then afterwards sold into the shop. First of all, maybe very important to tell as well that the difference between us and a regular second-hand shop is that we combine the selling of goods with social employment, which means that for us, in our case, people who are unemployed for more than 2 years, they get a chance to have a job here. And when they work here, during that 1 year, we teach them again what it is to have a regular job, and we actually follow them and we help them to find a job in the regular job market after a year working here. The type of customers you find in the Kringwinkel, well, we can say that 50% are people who are people with a small income. So they come because they don't have any other places where they can go to. But the other 50% are collectors, or people who have an antique shop, for example, or also people who are really concerned with environment and who think, well, before I buy something new, why shouldn't I go and have a look first in the Kringwinkel, in the reuse shop, and maybe I find something which is cheaper, and because it's reused again, it's better for the environment.
Reuse is very trendy now in Belgium, because you had reuse of some furniture, some clothes, some other NGOs, but social ones were working in that kind of thing also from decades. But now you can reuse a lot of things, and you can buy a lot of things of second hand and quality things. In shops, they are nearly the same as shops that are selling brand new stuff. And it's very trendy now in Belgium. Also, maybe because we now all love again orange things and things of the 70s, the look of the 70s, and that's maybe it's also because it's a little bit trendy now.
Σε κάθε σχεδόν συζήτηση με τους εμπλεκόμενους φορείς στο θέμα διαχείρισης απορριμμάτων συσκευασιών, γίνεται αναφορά στη σημασία της διαλογής στην πηγή και σε συστήματα τύπου πληρώνω όσο πετώ. Η μεικτή συλλογή δεν ήταν ποτέ επιλογή για τους Βέλγους, γι' αυτό άλλωστε είναι και οι καλύτεροι σε αυτό που κάνουν.
I'm quite sure. With the technical knowledge, with the technical evolution, today we have to continue with separate collection at source. We have been thinking about that here in Belgium before too. Let's say all the waste in one bag or in one container, and then trying to sort the waste in a factory, in a sorting plant. That would be the most easiest for the citizen. But there is the upper goal we have to serve, and the upper goal is the circular economy. And in the circular economy, to reuse the raw materials and to make from waste secondary raw materials. Up to now, we are convinced that the only way to do is to pass through that, let's say, necessary evil to have that separation of the waste at source in order to have the required quality. Because all putting in one bag or in one container and then trying to sort it in separate fractions with a high quality level and to have a valuable material for the market, it does not work. Maybe in 10 or 20 years, but let's say the experts are not very confident, because you have wet fractions, you have dry fractions, and within the dry fraction one material is contaminating the other. Glass, when it is broken, it is contaminating the plastics. When you do it together with the wet fraction, everything is contaminated. You need a minimum of separate collection at source. Okay, there is a cost regarding this, but the advantage of it is when you make people sort at the origin, at the level of their households, and put the right material in the right recipient, it's a way of sensibilization of the citizens on itself, because they are concerned, they are taking part in the whole process. And then also, if at the same time you can assure them, if, let's say, and whilst the industry and the authorities are taking their responsibility to make the separate collected material recycled, when people will pay more for their residual waste which cannot be recycled, they will put more material in the recyclable bins. So that's the way how it works here, and that's our experience up to date, and we think this is going to last for a moment. Regarding the pay-as-you-throw principle, in Belgium we call it differentiated tariffication for the residual waste. It just works. Everybody is interested in its own money, and when you are obliged to pay more, and when you got the bill presented, when you produce more residual waste, when you offer to collector for the residual waste more waste, and you know you have to pay more, automatically you will transfer your recyclables to the recyclable bins. It works. What we see in Belgium is that when these, at local level, at the level of the cities, of the villages, this pay-as-you-throw principle for residual waste is introduced, that you see all of a sudden an increase of your recycling result with 30%. Of course, it has to go hand in hand, it has to be combined with communication campaigns and so on. You have to do this in a permanent way. But once this pay-as-you-throw principle for residual waste is installed, you see an increase of your recycling result all of a sudden, and it will continue working.
Οι Βέλγοι είναι ένας λαός με ανεπτυγμένη περιβαλλοντική συνείδηση. Είναι άραγε αυτό αποτέλεσμα μιας σωστής περιβαλλοντικής παιδείας ή μιας ορθής τεχνικής διαδικασίας?
I think the reason why Belgium is the best in the packaging waste recycling is because of education, early education, I think, more than culture, because long time ago it was not like that. So the culture is changing because of education, I think, but it has to be in general. It has to start early in the kindergarten, has to be repeated in the primary school, and afterwards, before they go to university or before they go working, once again in the secondary school level. Well, there is an obligation in Belgium. It's a little bit different in the two parts of Belgium, but there is an obligation to do environmental education. The way they do it, the schools are free, so they can choose themselves their own program they want to follow or to do, but they are obliged at the end to do environmental education. Well, as I said, we start very early in the kindergarten. So there we have the prince or the princess of dirty land who is coming to the school. It's very funny, in fact, it's theatrical, but while they are playing, they are learning about waste management, good waste management. So it's very fun and very interesting for the children, but very important to start early, because then they are still very open, they will really, it will be part of their culture, in fact. On the education level, it's very important that everything we do can be integrated in the school curriculum and in the basic work of the school, because when it's more work for the teacher, they won't like it. So it has to be integrated. So that's an important concern that we work on with the Ministry of Education. On the environmental level, it's also important in two ways, in fact. First of all, with the education we do, we are working to realize the objectives, the goals of our ministries concerning, for instance, waste management. On the other hand, also young people who work on it, who are active, they can also go into dialogue with policymakers. They can also, maybe the policymakers can learn something from our young people. So it's a two-way communication effect. To produce those manuals and educational tools, we have some experts in the topic we are treating. So they do the first work, in fact. Then we also have some pedagogical people who work on it. So we want to make a combination between the content and the pedagogical part. And then before putting it on the school market, of course, we test it. It's very important that we just, first of all, we want to test it with some schools. We do some evaluations, and it's after all that we really produce it, print it, and send it to the schools. For us, first of all, it's important that education for sustainable development is integrated in the school on different levels, from kindergarten and primary school and secondary school. And we also distinguish different levels of doing that education. First level is the information level, so we deliver information about sustainable development. We make educational tools, manuals and so on. Second level is the sensitization, so we work directly with the pupils. So there is a direct contact between an educator and the pupils, and for half a day, one day, they learn about it. A higher level is what we call mobilization, so it's more coaching. So we have a goal that we want to work on, but also measuring the impact and a long term, half a year, 1.5 year, working together to reach that environmental or sustainable development goal. And then our highest level is the participation level. When schools, young people are active themselves, they are aware about the problems, they are ready to go into dialogue with decision makers. That can be political, talking with ministers in youth parliaments, for instance, but they can also be private, talking with leaders of big private companies about the challenges of our society.
Η εμπειρία του Βελγίου είναι σίγουρα μοναδική. Πώς μπορούμε όμως να μεταφέρουμε αυτή την εμπειρία και να την εφαρμόσουμε στην κυπριακή πραγματικότητα?
You have to work on progressively, because our waste management wasn't all in 1 year at this high of level. We worked 20 years to get at the level that we are now, first in Europe. But I am convinced that the Flanders model can be translated to the Cypriotic situation. But you have, of course, take into account the specific characteristics of Cyprus. I'm convinced that you won't need 20 years to get at the same level, because you can learn from the experience we had in Flanders and in Belgium.
Ας ελπίσουμε ότι ακολουθώντας το παράδειγμα του Βελγίου θα μπορέσουμε και εμείς στην Κύπρο να πετύχουμε περισσότερα σε λιγότερο χρόνο. Αυτό που σίγουρα επιβεβαιώσαμε εδώ στις Βρυξέλλες είναι ότι πουθενά στον κόσμο δεν υπάρχουν σκουπίδια. Υπάρχουν μόνο απορρίμματα που περιμένουν να μετατραπούν σε ανανεώσιμους φυσικούς πόρους. Τι θα γίνει λοιπόν, θα συνεχίσουμε να πετάμε και να ρυπαίνουμε το περιβάλλον ή θα αρχίσουμε να φυλάμε και να διαχειριζόμαστε σωστά τα απορρίμματά μας?